Good morning. I'm Jason Bahnsen from Tempus Resources. We're originally an Australian company listed on the TSX, also trading on the TSX Venture now, and on the OTC. So we're focused on projects in British Columbia and in Ecuador. Well, there's the disclosure statement that I'm sure you're all familiar with. I'll take that as read. Let's dive right into British Columbia. So this is just let's look at the location map, because I think this tells a lot of the story. We're in a great neighborhood. This is just north of Lillooet, so a very good logistics. You can see we have some fantastic neighbors with Talisker Resources and West Haven. So this is quickly developing as a significant gold camp. West Haven's just recently announced a resource. Talisker's got one coming. We're on our second year of drilling at Elizabeth. Drills will start turning in the next couple of weeks. We've done 10,000 meters of drilling at the Elizabeth project, and we have two projects that are quite unique. They're joined together. As you can see, Blackdome was a previously operating gold mine. Elizabeth to the south, that you can see a leg of leases that goes on the left-hand side. That's effectively a connection, 30 kilometers between Elizabeth and the existing mill at Blackdome. We've been focusing on the exploration at Elizabeth, but we're not done with Blackdome either. But let's look a little bit closer here. So this is a plan view of the Elizabeth project. There's over 9 known veins on the project. The green holes you see there, that's our drill plan for this year. There's an existing resource at historic NI 43-101 resource at Elizabeth of 206,000 ounces. Most of that has been associated with what you see as a southwest vein there. We have, historically, there's about 140,000 ounces in that resource. And so we have about 10,000 meters of drilling that's mostly been focused on that southwest vein and the blue vein that we think we've been converted. We'll have an updated resource following this year's drill program. So we'll believe we'll see a lot of the historic inferred resource at Elizabeth converted to a higher category, indicated category. Here's a cross-section that shows these veins are typically about the distance between the blue vein and the southwest vein is about 150 meters. So these are quite closely stacked. They're near sub-vertical veins, typically 1 meter to 2.7 meters in thickness. It's high grade. The blue vein, we really discovered it does an outcrop. We discovered that with drill hole 12 last year, which returned over an ounce per ton, and we drilled 7 holes off of the same drill pad setup. 3 of those holes graded over an ounce per ton intersections. So this year, just going back to the plan, as you can see, we now, from the previous drilling that was all off of that one pad, we have about 80 meters of a high-grade zone established on a sort of strike length. We're going to extend that blue vein and cover about 200 meters and extend that strike length. So we think that will form part of the sort of resource. Similarly to the, there's been very little historical drilling. The dark holes, the circles show some of the historical drilling that was done. This season, we're also looking at the west vein and the main vein, where there was some very high-grade trenching done historically, 50 grams per ton over 20 meters on those veins. So we're looking for the extension of those veins. So the whole play here is to develop a mineable resource. As I mentioned, we have an existing mill at Blackdome that's not that far away. Here's a bigger picture, and this is to scale. This is one of the things when we did the geophysics last year, the Magnetometer Survey, we found that the porphyry intrusion that hosts these veins is much, much larger than previously thought. And we draw a lot of analogies to Braylorn. This is an orogenic style deposit. It has good vertical extension, and you can see the depth of the Braylorn mine, which was mined down to about 2,000 meters. So, we see that as an analogy here. We need to see how far these veins extend, but this gives you an idea of the scale of the, the project. And, on the bigger picture, those veins we've been looking at are just on what we call Elizabeth Main. There's a very large, this is about 300 square kilometers in total land area between the two licensed groups. So there's a lot of exploration potential, and we are getting, interest from the majors, not so much on the current veins, but on the bigger picture and the potential of this. This is also in a potential copper porphyry area. You have Blackstone Resources looking for that, an Australian company. You have VRIC with a Poison Mountain deposit, which is a copper porphyry target beside us. But this is what, the key to the whole story here is this Blackdome mill. That's the way it looks right now. It was previously produced 1986 to 1991. It was Sonar Resources. They were running a very high grade, 22 grams per ton mill feed grade. It has a 200 to 300 ton capacity. We've done quite a bit of metallurgical work on running core from Elizabeth through the Blackdome mill circuit, or a desktop version of the Blackdome mill circuit. We've demonstrated recoveries of 92 to 95%. There's no refractory ore in any of this. So this mill is capable of taking feed from Elizabeth and Blackdome. The moment we've been focusing on Blackdome, but this really does give us once we have a mineable resource, this is fully permitted. We have a fully permitted tailings dam associated with this. The mill was initially operated, there's a gravity circuit, and they were producing doré and flotation cells, and they were selling concentrate to Sumitomo at a discount. We'd be looking at adding a leaching back end into this mill operation, and the numbers we're seeing, we'll announce them soon. This JDS and the Optimized group have been doing a detailed restart study on this. So as you see, we're starting to tick some of those PEA level sort of activities as we do the exploration. So our vision for this is high grade, low cost production. This mill has the capacity at these grades to produce 25 to 30,000 ounces a year. The capital restart costs are significantly reduced here with this existing mill. We're talking with a leaching circuit involved sub $10 million for the whole thing. Compare that to a greenfields project, $30–40 million for an existing mill. So when we start looking at the economics of the project development, that really does give us a clean advantage, a key advantage, because we're not carrying a lot of capital. Our target grades that we look at, we're talking 10 to 12 grams per ton is an average mill feed grade. So I'd say, we need to, the plan is over this year, we'll target coming out with a resource statement. The previous resource is 2009. Was come up with a resource statement that includes this year's drilling, and will be a good way there to having a mineable sort of project. I'd like to see at least 4 or 5 years of solid production in a measured or proven sort of category, and then we'll do additional exploration on the back of that as we develop the mine. So this does have the capacity to, once we have a mineable resource, within a couple of years have a project. Still permitting involved, but this is a mining lease at Blackdome. So we and also, in addition to just the infrastructure that's at Blackdome, we haven't really touched the exploration. We did a little bit of drilling in 2020, one part of Blackdome while we waited for the permit at Elizabeth. Black Dome is an epithermal deposit, so we need to find out where we are in that vertical horizon. And so we've been doing quite a bit of work. We had quite a famous geologist, epithermal expert, Dr. Jeffrey Hendingquest, come to site last year. We did some alteration study, looking at the pulps and things like that, trying to find where are we in relation to the boiling point. We think there's a lot more upside. You know, the Black Dome, it was only mined down about 100 meters. This is just two of the sort of target areas. So we may not be drilling on Black Dome this year, but we're going to progress. We're doing fluid inclusion work, very detailed work, trying to establish where that boiling point is, how deep is this deposit. There's been no deep drilling done on this, so our plan is to figure out where we want to put those drill holes, then we'll come back and drill Tempus, and we think there's a lot of upside. In the perfect world, we got a resource at Black Dome, got a resource at Tempus. We're also looking at this in this mill. How do we take that mill from 200 tons a day to 500 tons a day? What are the costs for that? We'll see. You know, we have to have the underlying resource. But that kind of captures a snapshot on the BC projects. That is our main focus. About 80% of the sort of capital. We're spending about $4 million in BC on the drilling this season. Expect to start the first week of June. And the other projects we have are Ecuador, and in a very fantastic neighborhood as well. These were the initial assets that the company listed on. We love the assets. We love the neighborhood. It's the early stage projects. We've done geophysics and soil sampling on both. Rio Zarza is fully drill permitted. Valle del Tigre, we're just about, we'll be announcing the results of a mobile metal ion soil sampling survey where we taken about 600 samples over that project. So you can see we're right beside Fruta del Norte that you heard about in the last presentation. Rio Zarza may be the extension of that Fruta del Norte 10 million ounce deposit. Valle del Tigre, you see, it's right in line in terms of copper, porphyry, and gold belt. You have Mirador that's operated by China Rail Construction, 20 million ton per annum open pit. You have St. Barbara to the south. We have Lundin. So it's an interesting, it's a very interesting project in a great sort of neighborhood. Over the past couple of months, we've been, you can see this highlights, we did ZTEM geophysics. We have a very large anomaly there, a couple kilometers long, copper gold anomaly, we believe. So now we're doing the soil sampling program, and we'll have the results out in the next couple of weeks. So that really does all the preliminary work for these projects in terms of the geophysics, the ground truthing, sampling, and so they're both at basically two drill-ready projects. So they are somewhat, we do want to continue to focus on BC, but this is a very interesting sort of package, so we're going to look at what we do with this strategically. What's the next steps? Do we take it to drilling? Do we do a deal with somebody? What gives our shareholders the best bang for their buck? But this gives you an idea of the Rio Zarza one, the extension of Fruta del Norte. They're deep holes. There's 3 proposed holes on there, 2,000 meters deep, and that basically brings it to a conclusion anyway. So, I think you watch for a lot of news on Tempus in the next couple of months, both on Ecuador, and we should have initial drill results out of BC, likely the end of June. Turnaround times on the labs have improved quite a bit. We worked with SGS. We're looking at about a month turnaround, so which is a big improvement from last year. So thank you very much. I don't know if anybody had any questions or buy shares, Tempus Resources.